Girls soccer night in Bloomington. It's the Battle of Bloomington for the second time this year. Kennedy and Jefferson will do battle. The first game ended in a 1-1 tie. That was back on September 10th, so one of these teams could win. It could be another tie. Who knows? A lot could happen tonight between two teams that both play outstanding defense, both struggle to score at times, but both teams have been improving as the season has gone along. Alongside our crew and alongside Alex Redding, this is Josh Powers. Alex, Jefferson, let's talk about them first as we're waiting for the starting lineups here. But actually, let's send it down to our house announcer. We'll meet the starting lineups and have the lineups read off. We did the national anthem for the boys' game, so no anthem. Starting lineups here, Battle of Bloomington, Jefferson, and Kennedy.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Bloomington Stadium and tonight's game between the visiting Bloomington Kennedy Eagles and our Bloomington Jefferson Jaguars. We appreciate your attendance tonight and hope you enjoy the game. At this time, we'd like to introduce the starting lineups for both teams. We'll begin with the Kennedy Eagles. Goalkeeper, junior, number 0, Brianna Dotter. Midfielder, junior, number 2, Captain Amaya Fierro. Midfielder, senior, number 3, Nadalyn Villegas Mendoza. Defender, junior, number 4, Captain Susan Munson. Defender, sophomore, number 7, Lizbeth Dominguez Castillo. Defender, sophomore, number 11, Ani Flores Polito. Defender, sophomore, number 15, Ruthie J.Z. Midfielder, sophomore, number 17, Captain Isabella Lone. Midfielder, sophomore, number 18, Jane Jimenez. Midfielder, sophomore, number 20, Mackenzie Kane. And forward, sophomore, number 22, Cameron Renicky. The head coach for the Kennedy Eagles is Mario Lone. At this time, I'll introduce the starting lineup for the Jefferson Jaguars. Goalkeeper, senior, number 0, Captain Kayla Youngworth. Midfielder, senior, number 2, Captain Ella Bloomquist. Midfielder, freshman, number 3, Emma Yates. Forward, senior, number 11, Captain Rachel Hall. Midfielder, junior, number 12, Jada Johnson. Midfielder, freshman, number 13, Lexi Evans. Defender, junior, number 14, Emma Nelson. Midfielder, junior, number 16, Jolie Gunn. Midfielder, sophomore, number 17, Aya Mecklid. Midfielder, junior, number 18, Hadley Zossel. And defender, senior, number 21, Captain Claire Sazma. The head coach for the Jaguars is Eric Johnson.
All right, we are ready Alex Redding, Josh Powers with you. Alex, we mentioned Jefferson. Maybe their best performance, best result of the year last time out. On Tuesday, they were at Chanhassen, a team coming into the game with a 7-2 record, and Jefferson played them to a 1-1 tie.
Most certainly, and they also played the Robbinsdale Cooper Hawks here at Bloomington Stadium to a 0-0 tie. And in both of those games, Jefferson has steadily improved offensively. We always know how good that Jefferson defense is, especially how well they've been able to set the tempo throughout the majority of their games this year, especially against those Benilde St. Margaret Red Knights. Now, they did drop that game 1-0 back earlier in the year, but that game was a key turning point for Jefferson this season. And also, the Kennedy game was as well, because if you remember, that was a 1-1 tie, and of course there is a score to settle, if you want to call it that, in this matchup here tonight. So,
meanwhile, Kennedy also coming off of a scoreless tie. We had that game last Thursday against St. Louis Park, a game Kennedy had the better of the chances, better of the play, but just couldn't quite find the back of the net. And outside of that Benilde game, they've been very tough to score on this year as well. So we are just about ready to go. Jefferson in the Columbia blue. They're the home team today. And Kennedy in the road white. Girls team looking to pick up where the boys team left off about a half hour ago, as the boys won the Battle of Bloomington in dramatic fashion, 2-1, defending a Jaguar penalty kick with a save, a clutch one at that, to preserve that win.
And Carter Lansdale, by the way, was the man to make the plays for Kennedy that they would need down the stretch, especially, on those penalty kicks. I mean, it's rare enough we see those kind of results, especially towards the waning moments of a game, especially in this sport. Definitely a rare opportunity. And, that actually reminded me of one of the basketball games played last year between Jefferson and Kennedy. Actually, Kennedy had a chance to win at the free throw line, and they did at Jefferson in the first meeting of those two teams last year. So that kind of brought me back to that specific moment. Meanwhile, Macklin is right now through the midfield.
This is Jefferson's best offensive player, Aya Macklin. Ball through for Rachel Hall. She's the forward typically on the right side of the field for Jefferson, number 11, but Kennedy deals with that early pressure. And you saw Aya Macklin. She's only a sophomore for Jefferson, number 17, but she needs to help control as much of the midfield as they can for Jefferson. And then when they get down in close space, they use her quick feet to try to gain advantages in the opponent's 18. So a lot of these throw-ins you'll see go toward Macklin.
Whoa!
Look at this. High degree of difficulty. It looked pretty impressive, but the end result is it just sails out of play. Not sure who that was over there.
Now it looked to be Sazma who threw it in. My gosh,
Claire
yes.
Sazama. She does just about everything for Jefferson.
Yeah, that is Sazma. It's pretty hard to miss those bright neon cleats. Well, and of course that flip too.
I was going to say why usually they throw to Macklin to try to win a corner kick, and I was surprised that Macklin wasn't over there. Now I know why. We mentioned Claire Sazama. Won't be the last time we mention her. She's the captain for Jefferson, back on defense, number 21, and she is one of the best defenders in the Metro West, if not the best, and she's one of the big reasons why, along with Emma Nelson and certainly Kayla Youngworth back there, why Jefferson, they've only won one game this year, and Alex, this is game number 10. They have given up 11 goals on the year on a team that has won just one game. It's been an incredible defensive performance all season for Jefferson, and it starts with number 21.
Yeah, and it's not just her, too. Sazma, she's a stud player, but, you also have to give credit to, on the defensive side, Emma Nelson, number 14 in Columbia blue and white. She has been quite a dark horse defensively for Jefferson. And really, these girls play so well with each other, and, they played soccer from their youth all the way up until now together, so they not just have good chemistry, they know each other, and to the point where they can finish each other's sentences at times. So it's very fun to see this bunch of gals play on the soccer pitch. Every single night that we are out here, you're in for a show, and especially Benilde found out the hard way when we had a chance to cover them playing here against the Jaguars on Girls Soccer Night in Bloomington. And I keep referencing that game because it was so fun to watch. Such a lot of great memories made that night. Even though that they didn't take away the win, they definitely took away a lot of people's hearts and minds, I believe, with that performance.
Jefferson looking for some offense. Rachel Hall unable to keep it in. We also need to mention midfielders that are very defensive-minded. You've got Lexi Evans. She's rotates back there on the back end, too, and she's just a freshman. We've seen sophomore Valerie Panvika back defensively at times, and also Ella Bloomquist, a senior co-captain. Part of that, not necessarily always on the back line for Jefferson, but those players certainly help out Sazama and Nelson and have contributed to the reason Jefferson is giving up about 1.1 goals per game. And again, for a team that has struggled to score, they've only scored 4 goals this year. It has just been some incredible defensive numbers for Jefferson.
Well, and especially on the back end, you wouldn't even know that they had won one game this entire season. I mean, that's just astounding, as you've mentioned.
They do have 3 ties, which you would expect for a team that gives up so few goals, including the last 2 times out. Jefferson has tied Cooper and Chanhassen. Dangerous ball in the Kennedy 18, and that is dealt with nicely by Ane Flores Pulido. Well, we've talked glowingly about Jefferson's defense, and Kennedy has some great players back there as well. They're a younger defensive core, though, Alex. It starts with number 15, Ruthie J.C.
Well, certainly does. And, you know, down the stretch, it's been tough for Kennedy. And they dropped a pretty disappointing game against Benilde, but they took a lot of positive things away from that game. And for a developing team, those are the kind of games that you're going to have to play if you're going to be the best. We got to beat the best, as the old adage goes. So plenty of time left for these younger players for the Kennedy Eagles to try and develop throughout the program. So
we mentioned the younger players. JC is only a sophomore. You've got Lisbeth Dominguez Castillo back on D, number 7. She's only a sophomore. This one right toward Brianna Dotter. Jefferson, some of the players thought it crossed over the line, but Dotter apparently made the save. A little bit maybe too casually for the likes of Mario Loney, the Kennedy head coach.
Let's go ahead and take another look at this one there.
And I think a good call. It did not appear to cross. And again, just like in hockey, that whole ball has to cross the line. Not a ball in hockey, but I think you get my point. To finish that thought on the defense, you've got Dominguez Castillo back there as a sophomore. So a very young D. Ane Flores Pulido is only a sophomore. And then you do have Susie Munson. She'll play defense at times for Kennedy, a junior. Another look at this one.
Ooh.
And that's Paul, is that the furthest that ball advanced there? You guys on that shot frozen there? Okay, we're getting confirmation. That's as close as it did come. So that was a good non-goal call there.
That is about as close as
a little bit too close.
Yeah, way too close.
And for a game that expects to have goals be few and far between, if we get one tonight, can't afford to let a situation like that find the back of the net for Kennedy. Unfortunately for them, they did not.
Most certainly, and they did a really amazing job in the game against St. Louis Park, too, in that 0-0 tie. They really held their own. And a great way to respond, too, after that tough loss here at Bloomington Stadium, 9-0 against Benilde. And again, for a developing team, that's what you want to see. You want to see them turn it around like that. And in the Battle of Bloomington, they did a very good job in the first half and the first meeting between these two teams. Kennedy got on the board first, but then Macklin put her through from deep to tie the game at 1, and it would stay that way all the way until the game's conclusion.
Throw for Jefferson. Here's where they like to get Macklin the ball in close quarters trying to win a corner, and that's exactly what she does. And sometimes she can sneak through there, too. It's not just to win a corner necessarily, but they're hoping that's one of the options that she can deliver, and she did that time.
Again, that's her specialty, being able to dangle the edges of the pitch and especially those corners.
Jolie gun corner, and it twists off the side of the net out of play. Kennedy, meantime, maybe has a little bit more juice up front. They've scored 5 goals this year. They're led by the likes of Mackenzie Kane, number 20. Got Cameron Renicky, number 22. And at midfield, the player that makes it happen, sophomore, number 17, Izzy Lonay. So far, the play's been more into Kennedy's end than the other way around, but here's Susie Munson. She'll play both sides. Sometimes she'll play D, sometimes she's a forward. Now she's up front for Kennedy. Amaya Fierro, she's a co-captain as a junior, another dangerous Kennedy player. Didn't want to leave her out of the discussion when you talk about offensive players for Kennedy that can make plays.
She's had a lot of great chances throughout the season, might I mention, and some really, really nice looks on that net.
Yeah, she had their best offensive opportunities against St. Louis Park on Thursday. Did Fierro, hitting the posts on one occasion. That's how close Kennedy came to winning that game.
Well, that ball just goes right back out of bounds.
10 minutes gone by, not surprising, scoreless between Kennedy and Jefferson, two pretty stingy defenses. You know, the goal numbers for Kennedy, they've given up 27, but when you play Benilde St. Margaret's and you give up 9, that's going to skew your average a bit.
Well, the Metro West has a lot of tough teams as well. Really top-heavy conference.
Right, and when you take out, you can't take it out, but if you removed that game against the number 2 team in the state, undefeated Benilde, Kennedy giving up just 2 goals per game on the year.
And Kennedy did a very good job in their performance against the Chaska Hawks here at Bloomington Stadium. That was a game they dropped 1-0. That was Kennedy's versus Benilde, if you want to call it that, this season. Jefferson with that stellar defensive performance against Benilde. And then Kennedy's performance against Chaska. That's their version of Jefferson's stellar match against the Red Knights.
Headed
so
away.
Kennedy has had some bright spots this year, despite what the numbers may say as far as the record is concerned, as this one's cleared out of play.
Abby Longhenry has checked in. She'll kind of rotate with Rachel Hall as a forward up front for Jefferson.
Kennedy's got to keep an eye on Longhenry. She's been able to get into some really good areas. Look out!
Aya Macklid, does she have enough angle for a shot? She does not, and it just trickles out of play. Macklid leads Jefferson. She's scored 2 of their 4 goals this year. Of course, she had the goal in the Kennedy game earlier and a beautiful strike in the second half to tie the game up at a goal apiece. Mackenzie Kane scored the goal for Kennedy back in the first half of the earlier matchup.
Tried to put a move on, just couldn't quite get the handle on it there by Kennedy's number 17, Lonay.
Daughter of head coach Mario Lonay. So 2 pretty good number 17s in this game. Macklid and Lonay. Blasted by Ruthie JC. You can see her strength of her leg. They'll use her on a lot of free kicks, much in the way Jefferson does with Claire Sazama. Nice move, Longhenry. A second good move. Can't get by JC, though.
It's going to be very interesting to see, Josh, as we go forward throughout this game, how both of these teams are able to settle that ball down into the midfield area, because that was the deciding factor in controlling the offensive possession in the boys' game earlier.
Yeah, Kennedy just dominated the midfield portion of the game. It was a 2-1 game, and Jefferson certainly had their chance to tie late, but Kennedy had the won the time of possession battle in our estimation, and certainly the number of opportunities they were able to generate offensively.
And again, that passing in the midfield area allowed them to not only win that battle, but control the time of possession in that offensive zone so effectively. And a lot of touch passes, too. That's ideally how you want to keep it, if you can get it there.
Toward the box for Munson and deposited into the Jaguar bench by Claire Sazama. See if Kennedy can get a couple of dangerous moments here. Look at JC taking a gamble well into Jefferson territory.
JC does so well on those 50-50 balls, and that's been a huge asset for Kennedy in the midfield area. And again, going back to the midfield game, as I mentioned earlier, about trying to get that ball settled down, JC is going to play a very critical part in that for the Kennedy Eagles.
Kane, unsure what to do with it, says, okay, I'll go ahead, make a run for it. Tried to deliver it up to Munson as it ricochets around. Stays in for Emma Nelson. Good ball up ahead. I believe that's Emma Yates. It'll go out of play. Another player we'll see off the Jaguar bench, Grace Shuck, is a sophomore, number 10, or 10th grade, number 6, excuse me, for Grace. Lazama delivers a nice ball up ahead. Macy Peterson, another forward Kennedy will use coming off the bench. Only a sophomore.
And just one of the many young and developing players for these Kennedy Eagles. And they've had some really positive moments from the season and looking to create some more tonight. Aya Macklin, meanwhile, is able to get this one through midfield.
Here is Shuck on the move. JC's going to win that foot race, though. And I like her poise. A lot of players would just blast that out of play. JC finding a better option, tries to get it to a teammate. Taken away, though, by Long Henry. Long Henry didn't get all of it. And Dotter, easy. Jefferson continuing to put the pressure on. This stays in. Macklin settles it. Macklin just outside the 18. Fires it across for Bloomquist. Good defense by Kennedy.
Kennedy's done really, really well on the 50-50 balls.
And that was the forward Macy Peterson coming back to support. And now Kennedy making way the other way. Mackenzie Kane, followed by Jada Johnson. Fierro misses wide. First shot on goal for Kennedy, and our first chance to mention the Jaguar goaltender. And a pretty good one. I guess I mentioned her name earlier, but Kayla Youngworth, she's a senior captain. One of the best in the Metro West. Actually, pretty much seen most of these teams through Bloomington Stadium, and I'd rank her right at the top, at least of the teams that we've seen, Alex.
Well, especially how she positions herself inside that goalie box. And again, working to that senior experience that she has, and not just through the Jefferson program, might I add, but throughout her youth playing soccer. She's just such a talented player, knows where to go every single time, reads ahead.
She makes a lot of saves that other goaltenders that we've seen this year cannot. I guess I don't want to speak too negatively about the Benilde goaltender. We haven't really seen her have to make too many plays in 2 games where we've seen the Red Knights, and that speaks to how good their offense is. They could have me back there and probably have the same amount of goals allowed, or close to it at least. Here's Fierro. This will be too far for Susie Munson.
Kennedy doing a really nice job of challenging the midfield area, and especially another thing I'd like to add is JC's done a really, really good job of trying to get that ball settled down. And really, the Kennedy Eagles have done very well settling it down on those 50-50 chances. And if you want to get a good start settling that ball down, well, it's a great place to do it.
Jefferson sub, Long Henry out. And in, I believe, is going to be Riley Keeler, another forward Jefferson will use. She is a senior, number 26. Nearing the midway point of the first half and still scoreless. Here at Bloomington Stadium, the Battle of Bloomington, both teams have played to 3 draws each, so not surprising. We have not had a goal yet. Jefferson's allowed just 11 goals on the season in 10 games, and that's a team that has only won once, incredibly.
Yeah, and for how their defense has played this season, you wouldn't know that. You would think that they are right up there with Chaska and Benilde.
Nice move by Mackenzie Kane. Touches it ahead to Munson. Couldn't make headway into the box. Lizama from maybe a little bit further out than we saw Brendan Akum score for Jefferson about 2 hours earlier.
That was some kick. That has to be the goal of the year, by the way.
Yeah, it makes what happened at the end of the game for him so tough because he had the penalty kick on his foot that could have tied it and would have ended the game really in a 2-2 draw, but it was Carter Lansdale coming up with the save. But still a great moment for Akum.
That's a great senior moment for Carter Lansdale, too.
That's what this rivalry, what these rivalries are all about, Alex.
Gotta love it.
Somebody making a play, and just great to see these games resuming now. We've had soccer for the last month, gone off really without a hitch, and now football just a few hours away, about 72 in fact. We'll have
only a few.
a few. It seems closer than that to me, Alex. Just a couple days away on Friday, we'll have it for you on BEC-TV. Kennedy and Washburn will do battle at 7 o'clock. Football back later this week. Perfect timing with the soccer season ending for both of these teams, regular season anyway, on Thursday. Renicky. Can't quite get to that attempt. We will have the Kennedy soccer matches on Thursday as well against Cooper. 5 o'clock for the boys, 7 o'clock for the girls. This is not played well by Brianna Dodder. Macklin with a strike.
Woo.
And it bends wide of the bar. So a couple of nervous moments for Brianna Dodder. Remember, she almost let that ball casually sneak past her in the game's couple of opening minutes, and then would have liked to have done better with that clearing attempt. Here's Izzy Lonay. Plays it through. Renicky, options toward Munson, and Youngworth has it.
Kennedy doing a really nice job of attacking the slot there on that last offensive rush, and that's the prime time scoring area. If you're going to score goals, it's going to be right up the gut. And again, Kennedy has done a really, really nice job being able to get it through the midfield, which at times during the season, it's been a challenge for them.
We mentioned the regular season ends Thursday for both boys and girls soccer. The playoffs will be next week. I'm going to head on over to BEC-TV.org. They'll announce the brackets usually on either Saturday or Sunday, and we may have coverage. We expect the Kennedy boys to get a home game. They're currently third in their section. As this one squeezes through, Youngworth is going to pick it up just to make sure it's not a corner. So more to come on postseason opportunities next week.
Yeah, and for Kennedy, it's going to be a positive for them going into the playoffs because they're in the single A bracket, and they've had to play a double A schedule this entire year, of course, being in the Metro West Conference. So they're going to be well conditioned when it comes time for the playoffs.
Where are the Kennedy girls at right now, Alex, in those section standings that you have over on in your booth over there?
Unfortunately, I did not print those out.
Okay.
I forgot.
Try to track down where Kennedy is at in there. I know it's a giant section Kennedy's in.
Oh my goodness.
On the girls' side. But again, Kennedy in single A.
Again with those girls section standings. I knew I was missing something before I left the house.
We'll get to it. There's plenty of game left.
Oh yes.
As this will go out for a Kayla Youngworth goal kick. So we're heading toward the final 15 minutes of this first half. One goal might do it here in this one. If there is a game that was going to end 1-0, it would be between these two teams. Of course, they played to a 1-1 tie earlier, so that's not out of the possibility either. But I wouldn't be shocked at all if this ended either 0-0 or 1-0. Jefferson will end their season in a tough way at Benilde on Thursday. They played Benilde just about as tough as anyone has earlier in the year in that amazing 1-0 loss. I say amazing because we've seen Benilde just pile up the goals on everybody, but Jefferson's defense was so strong that night. Here's Kane getting to that right foot. Remember, she scored against Jefferson in the earlier game, but that one drifts wide. Okay, so we're being told the Kennedy girls 15th out of 16. Remember, though, they're a 3A team, or they're a single A team, but they've played double A competition. So a lot of times those QRF rankings don't necessarily factor that in, or it's hard for those numbers to factor that in. That was almost offside Rachel Hall, but Lazama recovers. Here's Ella Bloomquist, co-captain.
Kennedy right now has got to pay attention to Macklin, who was in the box moments ago looking for something into the slot.
Susie Munson trying to get past Emma Nelson. Helped by Amaya Fierro. Lonay.
And again, this is key. Kennedy has to get that ball settled down if they're going to get it into the box. And again, Jefferson with another good takeaway, able to get it out to the midfield area.
Credit Aya Macklin for coming back, defending Lonay there.
In addition to being able to possess the ball very well, she has really, really deceptive speed.
Jada Johnson comes up to play it toward Hall, and then Dominguez Castillo sends it out for a Jaguar throw. Toward Macklin, now across. Defended by Castillo, and Jefferson bellowing, Jefferson fans bellowing for a foul. Was not called. Kane twists one towards Susie Munson. And Jada Johnson gives Kennedy a throw in. Jimenez Lazama, sophomore. Helps a lot back on Kennedy's defense as well, another younger player.
Kennedy right now has some really good edge pressure on Jefferson.
They're making things difficult for Jefferson to navigate through midfield.
And again, one of the many infinite possibilities to flip the game in your favor in that area of the soccer pitch as Macklin heads to the bench.
Long Henry in for her. Meanwhile, for Kennedy, Alex Munoz Rosales checks out. And coming in, I believe, is Melissa Duran Gutierrez, number 19. Here's a free kick. We mentioned Lonay will take some. Other times it'll be JC. This time JC coming up with her height. She's going to head to the edge of the 18 awaiting this free kick from Izzy Lonay, the sophomore.
And with that height advantage, Jefferson's going to need to really do a good job of boxing out, but be careful not to draw the foul as Kennedy looks to prepare this rush.
Castillo. Well defended by Jefferson. In the initial defense. And then Gunn takes care of the rest of the way. Here's a chance for the Jaguars. It's Long Henry. Long Henry.
Oh.
Marked from behind, and a foul again. Was that still alive? That was so casual by Dodder. Holy cow.
Jeez. I tell you, we've
That
seen all
is-
kinds of stuff today, not just in this match, but in the boys'
I
match
thought-
earlier, too.
I thought there was a whistle that I could not see. That is amazing. She just
Wow.
did not bend down to scoop that up. That almost went into her own net for an own goalie goal, which would be almost the rarest thing you'd ever see.
And, of course, now it leads to the Jaguar corner kick.
Jolie Gunn. Gunn, a second attempt. Still loose. Yates with a chance. Dodder reaches up for the save. There's a little bit more urgency from Brianna Dodder.
Well, it's good to see that she made up for the last casual play.
I have never seen that
Jeez.
before. Fierro. Jefferson throw with under 10 minutes left in the first half. Getting rid of it quickly, Lexi Evans for Jefferson, the freshman. Mentions Kennedy's youth, but Jefferson plays some younger players as well, like Yates and Evans, who are both freshmen. Lonay has a very strong leg. Let's take another look at Brianna Dodder just some few moments
just
ago.
this-
I just assumed there was a foul here. She just casually sticks out her leg and then doesn't really. If I was a goaltender that
Oh.
ricocheted off my leg, I would be diving after that
Yeah.
ball. It did not miss the post by much.
It's like, come on, to save the corner kick.
That's the other thing, too.
And I'm pretty sure she is going to get a few words spoken to her by the coach at the intermission.
Meanwhile, Lonay doing her best to provide offense. She's a captain and it's just a sophomore. Tells you what they think about her leadership, the Kennedy team. Castillo.
Ooh.
Lazama, now Kane. Kennedy doing a better job possessing the ball recently. Lonay again. Leans into one. This will sail over the bar.
Kennedy, a nice job there on that offensive possession. Josh being able to settle it down nicely. Not on every single pass, but for most of the time.
Lonay, much deserved rest, probably for the final 7 minutes. She's replaced by Rosales.
Jefferson's defense, too, has been playing more up front as well. And I think you'd kind of have to, considering the fact that their offense needs a little bit of a spark right now, and, of course, this one going over the goal line.
Under the lights here at Bloomington Stadium for our final battle of Bloomington on the soccer field. The fourth of 4. So far the official tally is 2 to Kennedy and 1 tie. Both those Kennedy victories on the boys' side. Look at Susie Munson getting up quickly. Fierro.
Even though Kennedy's kicks have been wide of the net, they're fine with those kicks going wide because that means they don't have to spend any time in their own zone, of course. And again, those possession battles in the midfield is going to be the deciding factor. And, of course, as it was in the boys' game, quickly shaping up to be that way here in the girls' match.
Emma Yates.
You can see that edge pressure that Kennedy has been able to provide so well, and it's been one of the couple of ways that they've been able to turn on their midfield presence into the advantage.
Flores Pulido. Kennedy starting to assert that midfield presence. Throw for the Eagles. But as much as they've possessed the ball recently, they haven't been able to break into that Jefferson 18-yard box at all.
Well, credit Jefferson's defense, too. They've been playing more to the top of the box, taking those areas away for Kennedy to try and find lanes into the slot. That has helped out immensely.
Jaguar back end certainly knows what they're doing back there. Fierro. Kane. Trying to get around Jolie Gunn and cannot. She'll try again. Runs right over Emma Yates.
And again, another 50-50 ball going in Kennedy's favor that time moments ago.
Nelson. Looked like she used her shoulder there. Could have been a handball. Instead, they'll play on. Fierro.
And again, moments ago, Jada Johnson with a really nice defensive play towards the top of that box area. Again, playing up front defensively.
Rosales had it taken away. Nelson, headed by Fierro. Fierro again.
And they will play on, so no foul.
Letting some contact go. I think a good no call in that both players are jumping for the ball. Here's a long run for Grace Shuck. And Castillo calmly sends it for a Jaguar throw.
Okay.
That last big kick into the attacking zone for Jefferson was huge as they were able to give their defense a breather with that one. And now they have the throw-in.
This could be entertaining. Sazama.
And they have the throw-in in the attacking zone now.
Will we see the somersault throw? Here it is.
Yep.
Launches into the 18, and it's going to be a Jaguar corner.
Wow.
So the strategy pays off. Claire Sazama.
2 for 2 on the flip throw-ins tonight for the Jaguars.
I'd give it a 1 for 2. The first one went out of play. That one was right on target. And it is a Jaguar corner.
I was counting the execution of the flip. Maybe not the throw-in, but the execution. That was what I was referring to. But, yeah, I do agree with you. 1 for 2 on getting it in play.
Corner. It's 1 for 2 on the substance, 2 for 2 on the style points. Gunn will retrieve it. It'll be a second consecutive Jaguar corner late in this first half.
And another corner kick for Jefferson.
This is a better one by Gunn. Over Donner! Into the back of the net for a Jaguar goal!
Oh, my goodness. That's great backup play inside the box. And again, it speaks to the chemistry that these girls have with one another and how many years they've been playing this sport, not just within the Jefferson Jaguar program, but outside of Jefferson High School as well. So again, experience, camaraderie, and great awareness contributed to our first goal of the game and Jefferson's first in tonight's matchup. Well done.
And there's 32 minutes left in this game, Alex, but that feels like a game-winning goal right there for Jefferson, how well they play defensively. As you take another look, Daughter had the first chance to maybe clear it away from trouble. Give Munson credit, she did all she could to try to defend that. But Jefferson executes. It started with the Sazama throw-in. It looks flashy, it looks fancy, but you can see why Jefferson chose to do it, as it resulted in a series of corner kicks and the first Jaguar goal.
Well, they were able to convert those style points into a goal, a point.
Back for Daughter. She needs to play that one cleanly and does. That was a much better strike by Brianna Daughter. Susie Munson. And the goal is going to be Grace Murray, the junior, with her first goal of the year. Late in this first half, which will likely give Jefferson the lead at halftime and might even be the game winner.
And I know even if it's in the first half, you can't ask for a better time to score a goal.
Fierro puts a charge into it, but it's scooped up by Kayla Youngworth for Jefferson, the Jaguars.
And I know these Jefferson Jaguars and Kennedy Eagles watched how the boys game turned out earlier today, Josh, and Jefferson with a little heat in this one, of course.
Trying to get one soccer win for the school this fall. Macklid. How about that? Through two Eagles. Great hustle, though. It's Flores Pulido. Not easy to do against Macklid coming back to help.
Pulido does a good job just sticking with it.
Not enough time for Sazama to come up for one of those somersault throws, and Jefferson's going to run out of time, but they have the lead. As the horn sounds, a corner kick executed first by Claire Sazama's throw-in, and then a juicy ball played in by Jolie Gunn, and it found the right leg of Grace Murray, all adding up to a Jaguar lead. Put that goal up there on the board for Jefferson as they
I'll
lead.
say they deserved it too.
1-0, just their fifth goal of the year as a team. But again, Alex, the way they play defense, they've given up just 11 goals on the year. It's going to be very difficult for Kennedy to equalize in the second half.
Most certainly, especially how Jefferson's defense has been able to capitalize towards the top of the box, and they've taken away a lot of those lanes into the slot, which have been Kennedy's go-to area. And so that really is kind of throwing Kennedy off kilter. And so we'll see how this developing team adjusts as they look to sit this one out and take a break during this intermission and look to crack the code, if you will, against this Jefferson D going into the second half. But, I mean, my goodness, one thing I will say as well on the side, I thought the first goal of the game was going to be scored by the Eagles, considering how well they controlled the midfield in this first half and even getting all those different chances onto the net. But then Jefferson is able to find a long kick. They turn it into a corner, a couple, and are able to, on the follow shot, put it in. So Jefferson really getting a huge break on that goal. And so it's a pretty exciting game so far. Can't wait for the second half, but it's a good one.
Jefferson leads 1-0. If you're watching live, second half coming up in about 9 minutes. If you're watching a tape-delayed version, good news for you, second half. Right after this break, you're watching Girls Soccer Night in Bloomington on BEC-TV. back for the second half. Jefferson leads Kennedy in the Battle of Bloomington 1-0 alongside our crew and Alex Redding. Josh Powers with you. So far, the Battle of Bloomington on the soccer pitch has been controlled by the Kennedy Eagles. 2 boys wins. The girls played to a 1-1 tie in the game earlier this year, but Jefferson has the lead. First half highlights, Alex Redding, in a back and forth game. Kennedy actually controlled time of possession.
And how about Claire Sosma controlling those style points?
The somersault throw, and that would play a part in the Jaguar goal that would be scored later in the half. So it's not just all style for Sosmo. Brianna Doddard, maybe a first half she would like to forget.
Yeah, playing those balls way too casually in front of her own net. You can see Macklin with that long shot, and then Jefferson had some chances on the break, but Kennedy, good job defensively hustling back there to put some pressure on in transition, though.
That was Doddard again, inexplicably just sticking out her foot to try to play that. Here was a good save by Doddard. Here's the Jefferson corner kick for the goal.
And a great job on the back end by Jefferson. You could see there that Susie Munson tried to get it out of her own net. His daughter was out of position, but, I mean, if it's in that spot, great kick, good arc. I mean, pretty much nothing you can do at that point when it's in that spot.
And it was Grace Murray with the goal, first of the season for the junior Grace Murray, taking advantage of that corner kick. And that corner was set up by another one of those somersault throws from Claire Sosma, and because of that, she's able to fling it that far into the box. It's helped set up that corner for Jefferson. What an athlete Claire Sosma is.
Gosh.
Huge reason why, and certainly she has help, but she's a big reason why Jefferson, this is game number 10. They've given up 11 total goals on the year.
And with the way that they play on the back end, you would think that record-wise they'd be right up there, and I said this earlier, with Benilde or Chaska.
Right. I mean, Benilde's only given up, at least through last Thursday, 1 goal on the year, which is amazing. But usually Jefferson's either behind or tied. Let's see how their defense does with the lead here.
And that one going out of play. A very interesting start to this game, Josh, and with how well Kennedy played the midfield, I thought they were going to get the first goal with how much offensive pressure they had. Look out!
Macklin, and saving the day, Ruthie J.C. You're talking about Sosma on the other end. That's a pretty good defender for Bloomington. Kennedy wearing number 15.
J.C. is Kennedy's version of Sosma, and she's done a great job in this game, too, of those 50-50 balls.
Both those girls play what you would maybe back in the day you'd call a stopper role, as you see Macklin unable to advance it any further.
Whoa. Look at that. Rachel Hall able to get it back.
To Macklin. Across.
Whoa.
Bloomquist didn't get all of it.
And how about this? A barn burner. Benilde's playing Chaska right now, and they're knotted up at 2.
Jefferson, of course, coming off of their most impressive result of the year. Yes, they have a win over St. Louis Park, but the Orioles have won just 1 game this year. That's Jefferson's only win. But a 1-1 tie at Chanhassen. The Chanhassen Storm came in tied with Chaska for the lead in the Metro West in points. Now, Benilde has played less games, but that tie knocked Chanhassen a half game behind, or 1 point behind Chaska last time out on Thursday. So Jefferson playing its best soccer at the right time.
Colleen Westerhouse, another big name for Chanhassen, too. When she gets the ball in space, look out.
Here's Kennedy on a counterattack. It's Cameron Renicky. Wide of the mark.
We'll see how Jefferson's defense plays in the second half, Josh. In the first half, they played very well at the top of that box, or near the top of that box. That allowed them to kind of play on their front foot a little bit more and try and challenge the midfield better, which they knew that they would need to, considering how well Kennedy has played throughout this game so far. And that defense for Jefferson also has taken away chances for Kennedy to try and get some routes going through the middle into the box in that slot area.
Good ball by Emma Yates, the freshman. It leads to a Jaguar throw. We talk about Jefferson. They lost their first 3 games of the year before that tie against Kennedy. They've been kind of sneaky since then. 1, 2, and 3 since those first 3 losses. Bloomquist. That was a better strike than a few moments ago, but it still missed wide. Kennedy, meanwhile, just takes one play for them. That squeezes past Sazama. Susie Munson's on the run. And I like her playing up this half. Kennedy trying to be more aggressive offensively, and she's certainly a player that can make things happen up there. Munson over for Kane.
Jefferson, another good job defensively, being able to clear the middle. And again, that defense has really set up their midfielders so that way they can.
Great intervention from Ella Bloomquist. And the ball up for Macklin, but JC is going to get there first. Plays it back to Dotter.
And I was going to mention earlier, finishing my thought, Jefferson's defense has been able to help their middies fight for control of that midfield.
Flores Pulido. Lonay touches it brilliantly over to Kane. Swings it toward the middle, looking for a bounce. Sazama clears it with no mistake. Five minutes into this second half. Jefferson yet to really allow a dangerous chance in this game to Kennedy. All the shots have come from outside of the 18. Difficult to beat Kayla Youngworth from that position on the field. Lonay is going to give it a try. Rejected by Nelson.
Again, Kennedy really needs to find a way to get it into the slot.
Look at Ruthie JC taking matters into her own hands right now for Kennedy.
And of course, the routine clear by Sazma on the back end for Jefferson's defense.
How impressive is Ruthie JC for Kennedy?
Very impressive. And, you know, to think that she has plenty of more time in this program, she is going to turn out to be a stellar player if she keeps it up, let me tell you. She has played very well in this game.
Speaking of talented sophomores, Mackenzie Kane, that shot was blocked. Renicky squeezes through the box. Over there for a look was, I believe, Villegas Mendoza. But it went over the top of her leg and into the arms of Kayla Youngworth. This will be a Jaguar throw. Jefferson getting a little bit more pressure this half. We do have some Kennedy fans watching down in Alabama. They've been turning out across the country for some of these Kennedy broadcasts. So shout out to the crew down in Birmingham, Alabama watching Kennedy soccer.
Also, we're just getting word in our ear that there is a crew as well from Maryland that is tuning in. Thank you, folks.
Please give us a like on our Facebook page or a comment as well.
Be sure to share it with your friends and family as well.
Getting increased viewership with, number one, we're providing more broadcasts that are available streaming, but certainly with the pandemic, less fans understandably wanting to come out to watch a game live in person. So we appreciate all you tuning in. We've got more soccer, Kennedy soccer, on Thursday against Cooper. Girls game will be at 7, boys at 5, and then it's kind of a Kennedy week. We've got Kennedy football as the season gets underway Friday against Minneapolis Washburn. Cannot wait for the start of Friday football. Now, for all you Jaguar fans out there, we do have the Jaguar football marching band concert. We'll be having that for you live on Sunday. It's a weird year for all the bands. I work with the University of Minnesota band, and they've been doing some distance and some in-person band, but they haven't had games to play for yet, and neither has the Kennedy or Jefferson band. Jefferson trying to make something happen here. Kicked ahead by Yates.
You can see just how much effective pressure their defense is playing up front, hanging around the top of the box. And continuing that positive strategy that has worked so well in their favor from the first half. Well, as the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Kept alive by Macklin. Here's Loney. Fierro deciding some options, picks a pretty good one. Flores, Pulido, and Kane are over there. Here's Kane. Fierro, back for Kane. Looking toward the box, swings one toward the 18. Sazma gets a piece of it, and there's Youngworth.
Certainly not afraid to get the head in the game as Clara Sazma. It's not just her positioning ability, it's also her size, too, to be able to head those balls off.
I think the officials are going to discuss this, whether it would be a Jefferson goal kick or a Kennedy corner. It clearly... the first touch was off the head of Sazma. You see that the one official pointing to the head saying, yes, it hit the head, and it did, of Sazma, and apparently no one else. I think that is the correct call, Alex, at first look. And they've changed the decision, and now we have our first corner kick of the game for Kennedy. Chances have been few and far between for the Eagles in this game.
So there's the header by Sazma.
And then, yeah, I don't believe it was touched by anybody. If anything, if there was a second touch, it looked like it was Bloomquist of Jefferson. And a low swinging corner for Loney.
Also
Not
getting
her
word.
best from what we've seen from her this year.
Oh, sorry, Josh, to cut you off there. Also going to give a shout out to the Sazma family down in Arizona for watching the broadcast. Hello, hope you guys are doing great. It has been a very entertaining game, Jefferson with the 1-0 lead. And again, I got to tell you, that backup play offensively, when it has had its time to work, it has made some magic.
Here's a turnover. It's Aya Macklin. Ball for Hall. And a good one at that, but JC did just enough. That ball couldn't have been placed any better by Macklin, but give, again, Ruthie JC credit.
She has been the Claire Sazma of the Kennedy Eagles, and only a sophomore, but she's making some very key plays. She's playing like an upperclassman tonight.
I was going to say she's making a name. Doesn't need to be compared to anyone else, in my opinion. She's the key defender on Kennedy's team. And of course, it wouldn't be a rivalry. We start mentioning Kennedy fans out there and some Jefferson fans quick to chime in that they're out there watching our broadcast as well. This Battle of Bloomington currently controlled by Jefferson in the final half hour. See the speed there of Mackenzie Kane for Kennedy.
Big, long strides as Kane is able to get over and cover a lot of ground very quickly. And
Lonay does well in that situation. Fierro squeezes it through to Renicky, and one of the better chances for Kennedy. That's the kind of passing required to break into the Jaguar box. It is a difficult task, and it took 2 very good passes to get it over to Cameron Renicky. And even with that strike, a high degree of difficulty because you had Sazama closing in, and you'd still have to negotiate it somehow around Kayla Youngworth.
And for Kennedy, being able to get it into the slot, that just makes that so much more important. And Jefferson has closed that off for most of the night. But Kennedy, give them credit. They've been very persistent at trying to continue their offensive advantage, it seems, in this game. And, you know, it appears to me that they've had the advantage in the time of possession offensively, and they've been able to control the midfield very, very well. So for Kennedy, they're hoping that something is going to give. And at some point, it probably will.
Lonay, nice touch to Kane. Renicky calling for it. There's the ball toward her. Dealt with nicely by Jefferson's Zozel, number 18. Hadley Zozel. Controversial decision here. Giving it to Kennedy.
Go ahead and take a look at the replay there, and there's another 50-50 ball that Kennedy's able to get the advantage on. And I talked about it earlier in the first half about controlling the midfield and just anywhere, being able to settle the ball down, and that's one of the ways that you're able to do that.
They whistled this dead.
They did it good.
Due to a Kennedy substitution. It's Peterson coming back in. Villegas Mendoza out. Lonay. Eagle throw. A lot of space right here, potentially. Kane. Fakes.
Ooh.
Tries to fire.
I like the patience from Kane, though. But again, you can see just how difficult Jefferson's defense up top is making it for the Kennedy Eagles to try and get into that slot.
This has been a game where the ball has been in Jefferson's defensive end a majority of the time. Nothing like we saw the likes of them playing a Chasko or a Benilde. It's not a 95-5 ratio, but for all that time spent in the Jefferson end, there's been very few touches that have occurred inside the Jaguar 18. Jefferson just so well positioned. And they're a team in the playoffs. If they could get an early goal on a favored team.
And if the defense plays their shutdown style as they've been known to do for most of the year and have done well, it's game over for their opponent. Nice moves by Macklin. A good backup play, though.
Chipped ahead. This is onside. It's
Here we
Abby
go.
Longhenry. And
Whoa.
a great intervention by Ane Flores Pulido.
We mentioned JC doing a great job tonight defensively, but Pulido's done really, really well on one-on-one coverage situations for Kennedy.
Jaguar corner, though, and we saw what they did with one of those opportunities in the first half. That's how they scored. It'll be Gunn again. Gun ball. And deposited out by Ruthie JC, and now Kennedy will try to counter Macy Peterson. Peterson still with it. Couldn't get past Emma Nelson. That'll allow the rest of the Jaguars to catch up.
Also there on that last offensive rush for Kennedy, you could just see how quick Jefferson's able to transition to the defensive side of the ball. On this one going back for Sazma, and then Youngworth is going to get that one taken care of.
She's just so fast. You look and you're thinking, is the keeper going to come out for that? And as the thought goes through your mind, she's almost to the ball already, Kayla Youngworth.
And again, she does such a great job, and I mentioned this earlier. She sees ahead of the play a lot, and it's been because that she's been around the game for a while, and moments ago, another 50-50 ball in Kennedy's favor. Look out.
It's Renicky. Zozel,
Ooh.
but not out of the woods yet. Kane lines it up, but it's wide right. Again, all these strikes from Kennedy outside of that 18.
We can see just a glimpse of the ball there on the replay, but yeah, that ball way wide of the net. And it's because Jefferson's been able to provide such great pressure, as I've mentioned before, at the top of that box, taking away the lanes to the inside, but it's also provided some extra backup for those midfield shots as well that Kennedy has missed on, of course.
Sazama, again, now they're kicking into the wind. The wind has shifted a bit. Kennedy wind getting in its favor in this second half. It's not a giant gust, but enough to make an impact on some of those longer kicks like that. Kennedy looking for a bounce. Goal kick as Sazama was able to deflect that off of Peterson. We near the midway point of the second half. Glad you're with us for the Battle of Bloomington here in prime time. Alongside our crew and Alex Redding, Josh Powers with you. The Grace Murray goal in the waning moments of the first half for Jefferson standing up for now. Jefferson hopes it does for the next 20-plus minutes for a team, Jefferson, that has surrendered just 11 goals all year. Kennedy's got a tall task just to find the back of the net once here to equalize.
And Kennedy, it's made even tougher because Jefferson's been playing so optimistic at the top of the box defensively. It's really kind of taken away any opportunities to get the ball inside the box as we get another look at that.
This is a
last great block.
Yeah, it's a well, the block unfortunately was by the palm of Jada Johnson, and it's going to result in a free kick.
Well, maybe it was great because of the body positioning, but of course minus the hand.
And of course, didn't mean to. It's just one of those instinctual things, reflexes. So now Izzy Lonay. A chance here for Kennedy.
And the marching mini wall.
That's going to leave less defenders in on the back end. Now Long Henry's going to join that fence. The officials say, no, you're not going to. So here's Lonay, free kick, low driving kick. Caroming around, Youngworth taking a gamble, but it pays off. There were two Kennedy players over there. We also have a whistle. That was a gamble by Youngworth. She was the only Jaguar player in the area. Otherwise, if she doesn't get to that first, Kennedy could quickly get it around her and find the back of the net.
Yeah, or we would have had the equalizer. And I know I mentioned it earlier that Mackled, speaking of, she has the ball here with that deceptive speed. Youngworth has that as well.
Mackled from long range as it bends around.
Daughter able to take care of that one and now looks to kick it away.
This
Definitely
is a
lot
nice
more
boot
clean.
by Daughter. Using that win, but that still was well connected. Renicky tried to find Peterson. That one ruled out before Renicky could play it. Wind definitely more of a factor now. The wind gusting heavier than it was even 20 minutes ago, Alex. You can see that Daughter kick just sailing. It was well struck, but still that was booted some 50 yards in the air.
Speaking of the wind, we're starting to pick a little bit up on our mics, even though that we got the wind screens on them.
This wind, again,
just to give you an idea of how hard it's blowing out there.
This favors Kennedy in the second half, going with the wind now. During the boys' game, it was more of a crosswind, but now almost straight out of the north, heading south from left to right as you're watching. First time, really, the wind's been a factor in any game we've covered this year, at least ones that I've covered, Alex.
At least it's not as bad as that one night at Bloomington Stadium where Jefferson had to play Henry Sibley. Oh my gosh, that was incredible. I was in Columbia Heights covering the away game that Kennedy played against the Highlanders, and man, I got to tell you, it was really unpleasant being stuck atop a press box with 40-mile-an-hour wind and rain and sleet, freezing, by the way, blowing in your face the entire night. So that was an experience, to say the least.
Kennedy, more possession time.
Ooh.
Good touch by Peterson. She was in the mix there, and it glanced a little bit too far. Kayla Youngworth, as you watch that ball being held up by the wind, and almost, if they let it bounce, it would almost bounce back toward the Jaguar net. Time becoming a factor now as we're under 20 minutes to play. This will be the second shutout of the year for Jefferson. No one has scored more than 2 on the Jaguars this year. Just incredible.
Especially playing the top-heavy Metro West Conference, and as we mentioned, against teams like Chaska and Benilde and Chanhassen. The deck is certainly not stacked in their favor, of course, minus the defense. But yeah, I mean, you have to be really good at what you're doing in order to pull off games where you only allow 1 or 2 goals. Especially against the top-heavy opponents, as we've already mentioned. And
goal kick for Youngworth as she trots after it.
And also, speaking of heavyweight contenders, too, I know that I kind of alluded to the game going on right now between Benilde and Chaska being a 2-2 tie. Benilde actually had to come back from 2 goals down. So that's shaping up to be the heavyweight game of the year so far in the girls' soccer pitch.
And Benilde losing last time out for their first loss of the Metro West, in the Metro West this year. And that was against Chanhassen, making that tie Jefferson had with Chan all the more impressive last Thursday. Here's a turnover, Jefferson. Shot on Daughter, and it just goes curling across the mouth of the goal.
It's a pretty good looking kick there on the breakaway, and again, Abby Longhenry, such a great player, especially on those fast breaks.
I'm not sure Daughter got a piece of that, but they rule it a Jefferson corner. So Aya Macklid, corner kick.
See if Jefferson can try and settle it down, and they quite can't inside the box.
It was Ruthie J.C. delivering the final block. And Jada Johnson plays it back to Emma Nelson. She is wearing a knee brace today, but she looks to be moving about 100%. Macklid
trying to put the moves on. Somehow slides it ahead, but it'll be cleared by the Eagles.
Sazama in the nick of time. Susie Munson throw in, hustling now under 15 minutes. Beautiful move from Izzy Lonay and draws a free kick. And she'll take it. See if they bring Ruthie JC up into the box. There she goes.
Yep.
Jogging ahead.
And I mean, for Kennedy, this is kind of what you have to do. I mean, those no-brainer type of play call decisions.
Lonay strike into the 18, and Claire Sazama puts that forehead to the ball and clears it out of danger. We have another foul here. This one on Longhenry, so the free kick a little bit closer this time for Lonay. to set up a mini wall here, it looks like. So what can Izzy Loney do from here for Kennedy? Macklin in the proper spot. Hall ahead to Long Henry, and now Kennedy needs to hustle back. Long Henry tripped up from behind, and Kennedy's fortunate that's neither a yellow card and also well outside of the 18. That's about as clear and obvious as you can get.
Although credit Jimenez Lizama for sticking with her as well. It's definitely a tough player to keep pace with. Then again, you got to be careful of how close you are in coverage, as we just saw that trip drawing the foul, and now the free kick by Sazama.
Sazama 18, the strike by Murray, looking for her second goal, and she didn't get all of it. Bicycle kick, Jolie Gunn. Boy, the Jaguars are acrobatic here tonight. This whistle goes in favor of the Eagles with under 12 minutes to play now.
So we go ahead and take a look at the last play, very distant from our camera. A short glimpse of that, but Jefferson very close to getting a clear chance.
Breaking ankles. Blocks that one into the air for Rachel Hall, but wisely dealt with by Jimenez Lizama. Macklin toward Hall. Hall for Long Henry. Scores!
Wow!
Daughter got a piece of it, but not enough. And that will just about make this one official. Jefferson leads by 2.
Polito a little bit late getting back there, but good hustle still to try and put some pressure on, and even better goal kick.
Abby Long Henry, she's had so many near misses this year.
Well, and that has to feel good. How can it not feel good for her? And she's played so hard offensively in this game. And again, when she is able to insert herself into that slot, especially on breakaways when she gets an opportunity there, she is able to create a lot of offensive opportunities for her teammates and able to contribute to the scoreboard on the last goal kick by her, making it 2-0. And you know this? Ooh, that's going to be a hard foul from the back.
It is great to see Alex Munoz Rosales back, number 13 for Kennedy. She's missed some action recently. But what a night for Jefferson. Heading toward a Battle of Bloomington win.
And it all started with that goal kick by Aya Macklin, excuse me. Easy enough for me to say, as that last ball going well wide of the net. Wow, Jefferson carrying a lot of that positive energy, not from the second half of the first match that these two teams played against one another in, but also from some of their better games in the back half of their schedule. And again, that defense playing up top, right on the edge of that penalty box, has really allowed their offense to start focusing more on the midfield and gaining control to settle that ball down and get it into the attacking zone. And, well, they found a couple of great chances that went in. Let me get another look at this one.
Kane, that one hit her toe instead of the inside of her foot. Sailing wide right. We'll see what Jefferson can do. Not us personally. We'll be covering Kennedy and Cooper on Thursday night here on BEC-TV, but we'll find out what Jefferson can do at Benilde on Thursday. A very good litmus test for Jefferson heading into the postseason. There's a foul on, I believe, Jefferson. So Izzy Lonay. There's still 8 minutes left, but the suffocating Jaguar defense in control. Good strike from Lonay, looking for the bounce, but on a hop, played by Youngworth.
Nice job of playing it straight on here as we can get another couple angles on the replay.
I like the idea, though, because if Youngworth juggled it, and she did just for a second.
Harder than you ever have. Taking late shifts too. Whatever, it don't matter what it takes, we will do. And I know love will see us through. Someday when
the silver ship sails in comes the sailing in on the wind. When all of our hopes and dreams we'll see. But oh me,
oh my,
guess it's ramen noodles tonight. But that's alright.
Together we can weather any weather just fine. They can take our silver, but they can't take our shine.
And I guarantee you, love will see us through.
Whatever, it don't matter what it takes, we will do. Live, love, and laugh.
We got nothing to lose.
Dad.
And that's how love will see us.
Somehow love will bring us.
And that's how love will see us through.
A lot of urgency getting to that goal kick quickly. In need of 2 goals somehow against a Jaguar team that has not given up more than 2 in a game all year. Only 3 teams have done it. Actually, only 2, Chaska and Chan. Only 2 teams have scored 2 against Jefferson this year. In a game. Kane ball glances off the top of the head of Sazama, but running up to grab it, Youngworth. Riley Keeler.
Good job tracking it down.
Yeah, that's the freshman. You speak of young players on the Kennedy D. There's another one, Kelsey Cruz Rojas, number 24. This Kennedy defense in a couple years could be what Jefferson's defense is right now. Gaining more experience. Jaguar throw with a 2-goal lead. No acrobatics needed from Claire Sazama.
And this one cleared right back out. And it will be a Kennedy throw.
Hall, and it's offside.
Let's go ahead and take another look here on the replay on that last play by Jefferson offensively.
Actually, it's not offside. It was a foul. You can see the Kennedy player running into the Jaguar player on that cross. So a free kick for Jefferson. In command here in the final 5 minutes.
Ooh. Kennedy's lucky that that wasn't inside the box.
This one is, though, nicely headed out by Mackenzie Kane.
The ball still out before finally trickling out of play. More substitutions for the Jefferson Jaguars.
The night is done for a couple Jaguars. I thought it was Sazma heading to the bench. Now she's going to attempt another one of her acrobatic throw-ins.
We think.
The further back she walks, the more likely it is going to be. Here we go. Number 4 on the night, Sazama into the box. Still loose and headed.
Ooh.
That one just wide. Claire Sazama once again.
Let's get another look there.
For Jefferson head coach Eric Johnson to allow that, how many times do you think in practice he would have had to have seen a well-executed head over heels throw in like that from Sazama before he allowed it? I would guess probably at least 50 without too many mishaps.
Well, if you're able to do it well, under control.
And it factored into one of the goals tonight.
Yeah, it most certainly did. And typically coaches don't like to see players getting too fancy, but if you're that good, which Sazama is, there are exceptions, of course. And the throw in by Evans.
And something like that is going to be needed for Jefferson, a team that is really, for as good as defense Jefferson plays, a team that until tonight where they've scored 2, they had just 4 goals all season. So why not try something? Even if it's a disastrous fail 1 time out of every 5, if the other 4 are throws that help you advance the ball into the box and create chances, why not give it a go?
Yeah, exactly. What is there to lose? Of course, Kennedy trying to regain control of that midfield, but Jefferson, they have quietly snuck in and grabbed control of that midfield, it seems, throughout the second half here steadily.
Especially after that second goal, I think.
Yes.
The Kennedy emotions deflating a little bit, knowing how tough Jefferson is, and now it's just needing more than one is a tall task mentally. Kane, though, doing her best. Shadowing her excellently is Jada Johnson. It's not just the deep backline defense for Jefferson contributing. Plays just like that by Jada Johnson at a midfield position.
Yeah, in this second half, of course, very pivotal for Jefferson, that second goal. But again, that midfield control allowed them to put their players in primetime position to score the insurance goal that they would need in order to beat the Kennedy Eagles here tonight, 2-0. Impressive, not just defensive performance, but offensive performance by the Jefferson Jaguars tonight. Well-rounded.
Handball on Lexi Evans gives Izzy Lone a shot, and it did not miss by much.
We go ahead and get another look here at the free kick.
And Youngworth, not the tallest goalie. She's not going to be able to cover every square inch vertically. So a good idea from Izzy Lone. Well, Jefferson's going to preserve this shutout, their second shutout of the year.
And it's going to be back-to-back, or correction, not back-to-back shutouts. I was looking at the Kennedy schedule, not the Jefferson schedule in front of me.
What a night for Jefferson. A rivalry win here in the Battle of Bloomington. The Jaguars are starting to put it together, folks. A tie against Chanhassen last time out. A shutout the time before that against Cooper, and another shutout here tonight for Jefferson as they get goals from Grace Murray and Abby Longhenry and win this one 2-0, Alex, as we look at some of the highlights from this one.
It was an entertaining game, not just from the back end, as Jefferson has been so skilled at, but also from the front end as well. Kayla Youngworth would get into the action as well. Sazama getting her head in the game there.
This is second half highlights.
Yeah, I was going to say we were going to be looking at second half highlights here rather than first half.
Youngworth, this was as dangerous as Kennedy got that chance right there, and then Jefferson with the icing on the cake.
Yeah, that would do it pretty much for the Jaguars, but Daughter with that last attempt at a save on the Longhenry goal as we get another flip-in throw from Claire Sazama. Wow, she does such a great job on those. I mean, it's not just the style points, but the execution there. And by the way, it did lead to one of Jefferson's goals tonight, so there is reasoning for those style points. And why not, as Jefferson comes out the winner 2-0.
Don't sleep on Jefferson. Now with their second win of the year, another shutout. They've allowed just one goal in their last 3 games. Heating up at the right time. A tough task for them coming up on Thursday at Benilde as they close their regular season. Meanwhile, for Kennedy, our next Kennedy girls broadcast is against Cooper. 5 o'clock start for the girls, 7 o'clock for the boys right here on BEC-TV. Jefferson gets one in the win column here on the soccer pitch for the Battle of Bloomington 2020. 2-0, our final for our entire crew. For Alex Redding, this is Josh Powers saying good night from Bloomington Stadium.